find out that you've been off or wrong, it lets you move finally, rather than grab on to those old ideas. It lets you kind of giggle at yourself and move. One of my favorite authors, C.S. Lewis. Anybody love C.S. Lewis? Darren loves C.S. Lewis. Oh my gosh. But one of his books, he says, I think it was talking about the war. And he said, I can't help but think that if me and a young German soldier had each shot each other simultaneously and both died and gone to their side and seen each other there, we'd have looked at each other and had a great laugh about it. And just acknowledged that neither of us really had any idea what we were doing. You know, I mean, it's that kind of thing. If we really get honest as people, we have to get into those spaces where we're all a little ridiculous. We all struggle with stuff. We all are a little weird. And we've got to keep that to maintain who we are. At the same time, when it starts impacting your relationships or your ability to sleep or make a living or to connect with spirituality or yourself, like then you have to do some digging and you have to do some repair. But you don't change everything. You just change the things that are really causing you trouble. Does that make sense? I think there's this idea that if we were all normal, we would all be happy, but there's no such thing. I don't want you to be like me. My heavens, I was extremely inefficient in my recovery. And some of you have already been more efficient in a week than I was in years. So heavens, don't follow me. I mean, hopefully I can talk about principles that I know help, but it's important that you get into your space and you trust yourselves. Our goal is that you become your primary care provider. You go here first, right, Nate, when you go home, and then you go here first. You don't go out here first and panic. You go here first, and then you start going from there. But you go on the inside first and figure that space out. It's amazing how many tools you have and how insightful you are. Most of you have just stopped trusting yourselves. You guys agree? You just stop trusting yourself. I mean, at one point you did trust yourselves, and then the wheels come off, and then you're just like, I don't know if I can trust myself. You know, and if you feel those things, then it becomes awfully tricky. But I'd love you to recapture that, because that's where you need to go. You need to go. Haley goes to Haley first, you know, and that's when it gets really special, because then you start solving your own disturbances, and you start to giggle and realize that you didn't really know what you were doing anyway. And those realizations are they're great fun. So let's kind of cruise along into this next little subject today. This, of all the pages in your little binders, and if you want to fill this out in your binders, you can grab them. I think this is on page 16. Allison, can I cheat off of you? Do you have your bridge book, your bridgy book? I think it's 16 maybe. Oh no, 15. I was so close. So page 15. This principle is very, very tricky for me. I told you about Bill, the guy that came to the bridge. Did I tell you his little story? So he came to the bridge. His wife sent him to the bridge. They'd already filed for divorce. I didn't tell you this guy's story. This is one of my favorite stories, because he literally embarrassed me with my own principles. And so Bill comes in. He's super arrogant. He's a jerk. He smokes like nobody I've ever seen. Bill smoked 3 packs a day. And at least one of the packs was Camel Studs. Like he, no filter, yeah, no filter, nothing. He smoked. He had to get up during class. He got up twice in the night to smoke. Like he just smoked, right? And his wife sent him to the bridge and said, "You're going to go to the bridge. We're getting divorced. I want this to be as smooth as possible, but I want you to do something for our kids and our family and our heritage and the business that will be better than what it is, because I don't trust that we're going to have, you know, any semblance of a retirement or a family structure." So he came to the bridge, and we talked about this idea that change. How long does change take? If you 3.5 weeks, 3 weeks. Well, but all true change happens in a moment. The true change happens in a moment. You can run that up to the tipping point, but eventually you either change or you don't. Right? Like for me, it took all these years for me to say, yeah, I'm finally doing really well. But the actual going from the dark to the light, it can be pretty fast. So Bill comes and we have this discussion, and I say, you know, the people that really make deep adjustments, the thing that they do that most other people don't do is they mean it. They mean it. They mean it with all their heart. They're not playing games with God or somebody else or a relationship. They're not manipulating themselves. They really mean it, that they're sick of being or thinking or acting a certain way or getting certain results in their lives. and they're done. They really make decisions, and they're done. And they're done for a lifetime. And he sits there for a little while, and he thinks about that, and I could see him nodding. And he didn't pay attention to hardly anything, but that, for some reason, really got him. And the next morning, I didn't think anything of it. The next morning, I didn't see him smoke during breakfast. He didn't smoke on the hike. He didn't smoke at the morning lecture or at lunch or all afternoon that I saw. So I had the class that night, and I just said, Bill, I said, I haven't seen you smoke today. And he goes, well, what do you mean? And I said, I haven't seen you smoke at all today. And he goes, Darren, do you smoke? And I'm like, no, I don't smoke. He goes, I don't either. And I go, well, since when? And he goes, does it matter? Ooh, and I sat there and I thought, not really. And I said, do you want to take a minute? It sounds like you got something to say. And he goes, I would love to take a minute. So he gets up in front of the group, and he said, I've been a bad guy. I've been a bad husband. I smoke too much. I've been a terrible father. I cheat at my business. But he goes, last night I decided that I wasn't going to do any of those things anymore, and I meant it. And I said, well, tell me what happened. And he says, I'll tell you exactly what happened. He said, I just put down one cigarette, and I'd lit another one, and on the way to my mouth with this cigarette that was burning, I had this thought, Bill, right now in this moment, you're a non-smoker. Why would you start at age 56? And he said, so I sat there and I looked at this cigarette, and he thought, that's true. Right now, in this moment, I'm not smoking, which means I'm a non-smoker. I would have to start smoking to break that streak. And he said, so I put the cigarette out, and I thought, why would anyone start smoking at 56? That's just such a bad idea. And so he said, so it's not that I quit. I just found myself a non-smoker and decided not to ruin that. And I was just like, I got chills. You know how you get chills when something's so truthful? I said, that's really beautiful. And he said, and I also, in that moment, I felt like a really good husband. I'm like, okay, like, what'd you do? He goes, I called my wife, of course. And I'm like, well, what'd you say? And he goes, I know for 26 years it's been awful, but I'm different now. And I'm like, well, how did that go over? He goes, oh, not good. She told me I was full of it and asked me if I'd been drinking, and And he says, no, it's going to take you a while to see this, but really I'm a different person. I've made adjustments that I never thought I could make before. And she goes, I don't believe you. I'm not coming back to you. This is ridiculous. You're out of your mind, And he said, I know it's going to take them a while, but I meant it. I knew that it was going to take them a while, but I meant it. So anyway, Bill disappears. And he showed up with his wife, 5 years later. He heard that I was lecturing, called before, and found out the night that I was going to teach. And he wanders in, and I looked at him, and I thought, I know that guy, but he looked different, lost a lot of weight. And there's this pretty lady to his side, and he goes, hey, Darren. I'm like, hey, what's going on? And he goes, it's Bill. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Bill. And he goes, and I'm with my first wife. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. I said, well, you guys have to have a story. And he says, man, do we ever? And she goes, yeah, we really do. We just wanted to come in and sit in tonight and just say hello. And so they sat in for the lecture, and then they talked a little bit afterwards. And she said it took her almost a year for her to know, because of his actions, that he really meant those adjustments. She said it just took a long time, because she's like, the first day, I'm like, yeah, you're full of it. Anybody can do it for a day. The second day, she's like, I don't care. 2 days is nothing for me. You're an idiot. You have been forever. 3 days, 4 days, But she said, as the months wore on, I started to see that he really was different. And she said it was one particular night, I just kind of broke down. She said, I got really emotional, and I looked at him and I just said, Bill, you're the man I always thought that you were when we got married. You really are that person. And he goes, I know. He goes, I got turned around. He goes, I got turned around. I had to make some different choices, and thanks for hanging in there with me. But I've known that inside. I just haven't had the courage to make adjustments that I needed to make. But I really made them. Started a new business. He's extremely wealthy. I mean, they're doing really well. But I think the part about my story is I dragged some of those decisions on way too long. I really mean it. I really mean it. And I'd like open one eye at heaven, I'm like, and if you'll like save me from this misery, then I promise I'd make these deals, these bargains, and it really went to show that I still had a couple markers in my pocket, right? I'm still packing stuff around that I swore I'd let go of, and I hadn't. But Bill showed me, he said, well, if you really mean it, you can really make deep adjustments in a moment. You can, and never, ever go back. I thought that was just amazing. So here I am teaching. And so at the end, after he talks that night, he goes, well, you're the one that taught me that. And I was like, I know, but I didn't pull it off like that. Like that, like that's different. So some of you have already made great strides. Some of you have already had some peace come through you that hasn't been there for a long, long time. And maybe I will ask you, how many of you have had feelings of contentment or peace that you haven't had in a really, really long time? Isn't that beautiful? And it might not last very long, but just the fact that you've experienced that solidity, that peace, that calm, it almost is shocking. I remember coming out of the dark after all my stuff. And I remember the first time I felt really happy and peaceful, it was very, very surprising to me. Almost like somebody had jumped out and scared me. It was surprising only in a different way. I sat there and I'm like, there is nothing wrong with me or this world. Like right now in this moment, I am completely content and happy. And I remember sitting there like, oh my gosh, I haven't felt that for years. But some of you in a week have had some of those blips come through where you're just like, I feel better. I'm doing okay. My mind's calm. My body's starting to calm down. How many of you have had at least some reduction in symptoms in the last week? Symptoms that you came with, physical symptoms, they've been less, whether it's pain or, they've just been less. Like your body's settling, like it's calming down. I'm just about finished with my book. And you'll all get a copy because somebody has to. And one of my favorite chapters is the chapter called Flocks, Swarms, and Herds. And we still, in the scientific community, don't know how a school of millions and millions of sardines or bluefish or whatever, how they can dance and swim without touching each other. We have no idea how they do that. Or parakeets in Australia. Thousands and thousands and thousands of birds just careening all over the place. Starlings or locusts. Have you ever seen a swarm of locusts? Just millions and millions of individuals. Why don't they touch? How do they know how to stay away from each other? Why aren't they chaotic? Why don't they bash into each other? Why? We know that there are two kinds of intelligence in animals. One is individual intelligence, where if you take a sardine out of the school and put it by itself, it will do just fine on its own. It will. It doesn't die. It doesn't belly up and die, but it takes off on its own pattern. It starts listening to itself. If you put a sardine into a school, what does it immediately submit to? The group intelligence. We don't know where that comes from. We don't even know what that is. It's not like one fish that's deciding for all the rest. There's a field that governs the fish. There's a field that governs the insects and the bird. There's a field that we don't understand very well. Think of your cells in your body as a school of fish. There's a field that governs your cells instantaneously. You can also remove some cells and put them in somebody else. You can donate a kidney. As soon as you donate that group of cells to another individual, what does that group of cells start listening to? The new person, the new field, right? So as you reconcile your unresolved conflict and you settle, that field intelligence gets cleaner and cleaner and cleaner, and you'll find that your school of fish will start dancing in a way that's extremely healthy instead of chaotic. And we know that with meditative work. We know that from all kinds of Eastern medicine and some Western medicine. And I just kind of challenge you, as you start to feel good, as you start to feel reconciled and connected, you'll feel like the entire system is feeling good at the same time. Like it's not, oh my gosh, my biceps better. No, yeah, you might feel that, but you'll also feel like the whole system is doing just better. Does it make sense to anybody? It's really cool. It's very, very passive too. You don't like push so hard and then feel it. Oh yes, I worked hard enough. I finally achieved that. It's actually the product of letting go. It's not the product of shoving. It's the product of letting go and letting that field do what it's supposed to do. So really, really beautiful stuff. So as we kind of cruise into this space, this is where I struggled a lot. And I'll let you guys kind of talk to me about how this lands on you. But we've got two basic pieces of our personalities as humans, right? We've got two circles on here. At the top, you'll see this on your book. Proactive. What does proactive mean? Oh, very astute. I love it.
Yeah.
Not reactive. You're not waiting until after the active. You're getting to react. You're pro of the act.
Yeah, like you're the one in charge of your action, right? I love it. So this other side of us is a victim. This victim piece, are any of us pure victims? We are not. We are not. No. We're not. Are any of us purely proactive? No. We are not. We are a blend. On your worst days with your weaknesses and your triggers and buttons and insecurities, you'll slide over into this space in a hurry. On your good days, you'll slide over into this space, and you'll find that you're psychologically much different situationally than you are, in one situation than another. Can you present bipolar in some situations? Yes. Can you present very, very normal in other situations with the same personality? Sure. Sure. That's why I think it's a little silly for broken humans to assign each other diagnoses and topics and, conditions and acronyms that are coming from such imperfection. It's a little arrogant, I think. But going back to the basics of being a human, if you want to label these with me, in the center, we're going to write I am. The center, I am. And this is the most important piece here. This outside hoop, this is going to be the outside world and my body. This outside hoop represents the outside world and my body. The outside, my penmanship's not great. The outside world and my body. What's my favorite word for the body? Does anybody remember? Meat suit.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I should have waited just a little bit for you, Keith. What's that?
I call it a flesh sack.
Flush sack?
Flesh sack.
I like it. Like it. So which way are the arrows pointing when I'm in my proactive mode? From where to where?
Inside out.
Inside out. They're pointing from the I am out. Where are my arrows pointing, RJ, from in my victim shift? The outside in.
The smartest man in the room.
So if I'm in my proactive mode, what are the two words I generally process subconsciously as I navigate the world? They're under this thing. You can just read it if you want to. The two words are? I decide. That means I appreciate the weather and your comments and you not loving me or burning my business down or whatever, but I choose, I pick. And I send the world from me to the outside world and my body. I tell the outside world and my body what I'm doing and who I am. Nobody tells me. That's healthy. Like that's when we're doing really, really well. When I'm in my victim mode, my mantra shifts to what? It makes me feel. You make me feel, right? I was doing totally fine until I walked in today. And Lisanne made some really horrible comments to me. She was totally making fun of me. And I was just devastated. I'm like, Lisanne, you're a guest. Come on now. And she just wouldn't stop. She just kept jamming me, Did you shower today? What's wrong with you? Nice shoes. And I'm like, Lisanne, take it easy, right? So in this state of mind, if I don't know enough about this I am piece, if I don't know this well enough, who do I allow to define me? Others or other stuff even. Politics, weather, somebody else's opinion, business, the economy, the stock market, whatever. That gets a shot at me, a shot at my identity. And this is an extremely volatile and really unsteady place to live. You guys agree? I've lived here before. Am I okay? Am I attractive? Am I right? Do I have a job? What do you think of me? Am I smart? When you're nervous about who you are and you don't understand this piece, you're very, very open to all kinds of other issues and all kinds of other opinions about who you are, about your identity. That's very, very dangerous. This side, I send that out and I pick. I know who I am and I'm going to tell you. And I'm really not as interested in what you think because I know me. I understand myself. Does that make sense? Different, totally different shift. When I'm in my victim mode, we use a word often in lots of different ways, but when I find myself in my victim personality, I start using this a lot. my life starts revolving around the word survive. Right? Darren, how are you? Oh, it's been hell, but I made it through the night, and I have a ripping headache, and we start talking as if we're just barely getting by. We're surviving this so hard. And our friends are like, oh my gosh, you poor thing, you're in my prayers. Can I bring you anything? I'm like, oh, I mean, I don't want to ask, but geez, if you could just, we start this process of survival. What word do we use when we shift over into our proactive side? Any ideas?
Thrive.
We thrive, but we create. We create. Chop off my leg, tell me you don't love me, burn down my business, right? I'll create something. I will. It will come from me and I'll send it out. That's my job in this mode. This is a completely different way of living than the survival. You guys have all been in survival mode, I certainly have. After a day of surviving, how much energy do you have left? You're none. You're done. You're completely done. And what have you generally done? Not much. So you're just hunkered down, like it's incredibly difficult, depression, anxiety, I can't sleep, whatever. That survival takes everything, and yet it doesn't produce hardly anything. It produces very, very little, and it takes almost everything. When you're in this creative mode and you wake up and you start jamming, and you get your stuff done, and you move, and you get busy, and you're solving problems and making mistakes and all of that, how much energy do you have at the end of a creative day? You got a lot. You're still ready to go, and the production is just outstanding. I mean, it's amazing what you can pull off if you just jam all day long, and at the end, someone will say, hey, how was it? And you're like, man, I mean, it was awesome. Aren't you tired? Well, yeah, I'm tired, but I got this done, and I figured this out, and I can't do this, but tomorrow morning, as soon as I wake up, I'm going to do this, and this is a much, much different mindset. Biochemically, which do you think fosters chronic illness? This survival energy and this mantra, we're learning now that it changes the blood. It changes your ability to recover from illness. It changes your immune system. It has all kinds of factors that are very, very important. The same guy that helped kind of jerk me out of the dark, Dr. Karen, he wrote a book called The Health Effects of Your Attitudes, Emotions, and Behaviors. So he did thousands and thousands of interviews on people about their whatever their attitude, their emotions, and behaviors were. And then he charted what different personality types generally suffer from physically, from the biochem that they generate. GI issues, hair issues, skin issues, cancers, I mean, all kinds of things. And it is just astounding how much disease generates biochemically from the survival space. It's just astounding, compared especially to that creative crew. So if I'm in my proactive mode and difficult things happen, well, let's start with the victim side. Let's take this will be partially hypothetical, but partially accurate. I'll just take you through a situation that I found myself in. So I got called to speak at a conference. I showed up the night before in a nice hotel. The guy that was speaking with me, his name's Randy. And Randy picks me up, and we jump in the car, and we'd only been going about 20 minutes down in Texas, and we explode a tire on the right front of his BMW 740i. So I love cars, BMWs, whatever, but he had this car sent back to Germany and massaged by Nanan. He had 1,000 horsepower at the wheels. I mean, it was an extremely high performance, expensive, a special order kind of a thing, hundreds of thousands of dollars in upgrades, So when the tire explodes, I'm like, don't these have run flats? He goes, well, they're supposed to, but it's something you'd cut the sidewall. So I'm like, oh no, flat tire, trouble, danger, danger. My body and the circumstance start sending me signals of, you're going to be late. You came in a day early, you're going to be late. We get out and start working hard on the tire. And I'm like, we're going to be late, Randy. And I said, and they paid us money, and there's a whole bunch of people probably assembled. And Randy says, well, yeah, but why don't you time me to see how fast I can change the tire? I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, dude, you got to time me. He goes, I time myself with all my stuff, especially tire changes. He goes, do you have a watch with a stopwatch on? I says, I don't. He goes, well, take mine. So, well, go, man, say go. So he's running yelling something about the Indy 500. I am panicking, right? And we're in the same exact situation. So he jams the tire on, we get back in, we're driving down the road, and he goes, time, give me the time. Like, I don't remember, like 14 something. He goes, was that my best time? And I'm like, I don't know. He goes, well, in the glove box, I keep a little ledger of all my little games that I play. Take it out and look. So I looked, and I looked at the flat tire thing, and he said, no, or I said, no, that's not your best time. But he goes, Ben, it was pretty good, wasn't it? And I'm like, yeah, it was pretty good. But I said, Randy, we're late. What's going on in my body right now? How's my heart rate? Up. How's my sweat? Up. What's my mouth? Dry. What are my hands? Sweaty. Like, I'm experiencing this feeling of victimization because I'm looking at this situation like this. Right? This is making me nervous. This is making me frustrated. We're going to be late. And Randy's looking at this situation like this. How's his heart rate? Okay. How's his sweat? Fine. Right? How's his biochem? Good. How's his mouth? Fine. Who does a great job when we get to the speech? He does. He kills it. I mean, he gives this gorgeous speech. And I struggle, of course. And we're sitting there at the end, and he looks down in the audience, and he goes, hey, do you see that lady down there in that red dress? And I'm like, oh, you are a creep. Like, I knew that this had to be fake, you know. And I'm like, yeah, I see her. He goes, well, no, what do you think of her? And I'm like, what do you mean? And he goes, well, is she pretty or what? And I'm like, I'm looking at her, and I'm like, yeah, she's pretty. I mean, she's a pretty lady. And he goes, that's my wife. And I was like, oh. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I didn't say anything else, you know. And he goes, yeah, she comes when she can. And he's like, hey, honey. And she waves. And so I'm like, is this guy for real? So I run around him, and I find her, because everybody wants a piece of Randy after a speech like that. Nobody's really that thrilled about talking to me because I was nervous. I stammered. I had a pretty tricky time. And she told me what it was like to be married with him. They had had disease in their family. They had lost a child. They had all kinds of challenges. But she said, it's so much fun because no matter what happens, it's amazing to watch what he does with every situation. He's very creative. We always have a great time. And I thought, how ironic that I'm working through mind-body stuff, and I'm teaching, and I'm asked to teach, and I have a facility, and still there are triggers that I suffer from when I think that my little world deserves me to be victimized. Does that make sense? So there's a lot of things that wouldn't bug me at all, but me having somebody pay me and have an expectation of me, and I'm late, a long ways from home, for some reason that really got under me. And for him, he's like, look, we're doing the best we can. There's nothing I can do about it. So that shows my lack of development in that particular way, and it shows I got to learn a lot. But I've learned, too, that I generally learn the most when I get a little bit embarrassed with my performance, depending on how I've been triggered or smacked, you know. But so moving through that, let's make a couple lists in here, and I'm not going to keep you guys that long tonight, but how do I know I'm in my victim mode? There's 6 blanks on here. Let's just fill these out together, and we'll start using these for the next couple of weeks. The first way I know that I'm in my victim mode is I stop dreaming. I stop dreaming, not at night necessarily, but I just stop assuming that I can have a vision and pull it off. Why? Why do I stop that process in this mode? Who's really controlling me? Everything except me. The environment, my body, the economy, the temperature, somebody else, my family, my friends. Because somebody else has that much control, I just stop dreaming. I get pretty cynical. Yeah, have you guys been in that mode where you're like, well, forget this. Like, there's really nothing I can do. Look at all these things that are against me. I can't do anything about that. So you start arresting those dreams. Number 2, I'm a poor lover, in quotes. Not sex, but a poor lover of myself, of society, of weather patterns, of change, of pain, of whatever. I just become a poor lover. I stop loving most things, including me. Even though the world starts revolving around me, I don't really love. I start assuming, and I've had this experience, you guys. I start assuming that love is something that if I play my cards right and manipulate just right, I can suck some love out of the world. Some accolade, right? Some attention, some physical intimacy, some money, whatever. I assume, well, if I just play my cards right, I can actually get acknowledgement from the world, and that's going to fix my love craving. Bless you. So I become a poor lover. Number 3, this is always interesting to me. I don't fail much. Why don't I fail much when I slide over into this space? I'm not trying anything anymore. I'm hunkered down going, please, nothing else, please, nothing else. Leave me alone. I can't do it. I'm overstimulated. I don't fail much. And I stop progressing because I'm unwilling to experiment out in that space too. Number 4, I don't sleep well. I don't sleep well. Why don't I? What's going on in my brain when it hits the pillow every night? Well, that wouldn't happen this. My first attempt at meditation, my very first attempt at trying to calm my mind went something like this. Okay, I'm going to count and breathe. I'm going to follow this little program. Okay, in, 1, 2. My nose itches. Hold on. Okay, in. Wait, is it in or out? Do I breathe in and count or out and count? This is stupid anyway. Well, I'll just, whatever. In, 1, 2. I got another itch. Hold on. Gosh, you're so stupid. You can't even control. You can't even do 2 breaths. Oh, I'm not supposed to judge myself, and I'm just judging myself. Why am I judging myself? Like, I shouldn't be doing that. Like, that's probably part of my problem. I always judge myself. Wasn't I meditating? Let me try it again. 1, 2. I mean, I just could not shut up. Have you guys ever had that experience, like trying to discipline or calm your mind? I just could not shut my mind up. It just busy. Can't sleep well. Number 5, I lose relationships. Why do I lose relationships? Yes, I'm too focused on myself, and everybody else has a tremendous amount of power of me. How dare you? Yeah, I'll never let you mess with me again. I'm out,
I feel like, too, you're so inauthentic, you don't even know how to do you. So how can you do others? Like, it's just too much.
1000% agree. Love it. And last but not least, I'm not at peace. I'm not at peace. I can't find peace because peace isn't something that I get from the outside. Peace is something I have to generate. That's an inside-out issue. Peace isn't something that I get after a seminar. Peace is something that happens when I finally am able to calm the noise down. Super interesting. Peace is not achievable. It's what exists after you're done eliminating the garbage. So there's Michael Singer, he gives this really cool seminar. He says, I teach my students, I take them to this stream, and it's this beautiful stream bubbling, and I say, what's causing the disturbance on the water? Oh, it's the speed. Oh, it's the turns. He goes, no, what's causing the disturbance? What if I told you I want this stream to be just as peaceful and glassy as I possibly can? What are you going to do? And he said, finally, someone raised their hand and said, well, you have to remove the rocks. It's not the water that's disturbed. It's what the water's flowing over that's causing the disturbance. You have to remove the rocks, the insecurity, the fear, the nervousness, the rumination, right? Then the natural state of the water is very, very, very calm. Water wants to be calm. Water's natural state is just perfect stillness. You have to whip it up with wind or rocks or motion to get it to really be disturbed. But as soon as you eliminate the things that disturb it, it calms immediately. The mind and the spirit are identical to that. Their natural state is calm. So when we want to calm the mind, we have to remove the rocks, but this victim state makes it really, really tough. So over here, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I dream big. Why? Who's in charge in this mindset? I am. I'm sending this out to you. I decide. I've got to be somewhat realistic, though. What if I want to play center for the Utah Jazz? I mean, I really do, Keith. This is no joking matter. Like,
You can in your dreams.
in my dream, why can't I play center for the Utah Jazz?
You haven't practiced with your entire life for that?
And I'm not 7 feet tall, right?
You're
I mean, the NBA, the minimum requirement now for a center is it's got to be 7 feet or awfully close to that. I can't. So this idea that you can do anything you set your mind to, that's not true. It's just not true. So I've also got to live in the reality of no. Well, now if I step way back and say, all right, I'm young enough, maybe I could own the Utah Jazz.
There you go.
Is that possible?
Yeah.
Yes, not probable, but possible. Now I'm in the realm of possibility. That's different than I can play center. So you can still do ridiculously amazing things, but you've got to be a little bit careful about physical limitations and things that you just don't have any control over. These guys always laugh at me, but I always, growing up, I would have done anything to look like Dolph Lundgren, the guy from Rocky, the German guy.
No, he's Russian, but
Or Russian. When he goes, yeah, that's the line. He's sitting there just totally sweaty. He's like, I must break you. I'm like, I want to be that dude. Like, I want to be that guy. But I didn't get that. I got a little bald spot, and I'm 5'11" and not blonde and not yoked like that. That's not me. So we have to be careful, but we dream big, and it's shocking what you can get done because you're living and you're dreaming in a way that you can actually pull those things off. It's incredible what you can do. So 2 words on number 2, I love. Well, what if I tell you this? What if I flip you off? What if I tell you I don't love you? What if I cut you off in traffic? What if I fire you for unjust reasons? What if I talk behind your back? It's like, well, no, I don't care what you do. I can't control you. Your life has nothing to do with my life. I'm telling you, when it comes to me and my life, I love. You do what you want. You say what you want. You do whatever you need to do. But I love. That's going to come from me and go out. And you realize as you make this shift that love isn't something that you can go out and find or you can suck out of the world with manipulation or whatever. It's something that has to be generated and come out from you and go to others or your body. It has to come from and go out. It's not something you can suck in. Does that make sense? Big shifts. Please.
German. He plays a Russian in the movie, so yeah. So anyways.
Yeah, I know. The name Dolph seemed German, but I honestly, I don't really know.
Thanks for not correcting me.
No, I don't know. So number 3, this is really interesting. I fail often. Why? I'm trying stuff, right, Damien? I'm trying things. I'm working through problems. I'm asking people out. I'm taking my wife out on dates. Like, I'm doing things I've never done before, or maybe things that I shouldn't have done before. I'm changing my diet. I'm going to the gym. I'm getting a better job. I'm doing an online class, right? Like if I can't be him, maybe I can learn some Russian, right? So I start failing, but I have this great adventure. Number 4, I sleep well. Why? Why do I sleep well in this stage? I'm busy, I'm creative, my mind's busy all day, but why do I sleep well? Why do I turn it off when I go to bed?
You're working it all day, 1, and then 2, you're at peace with what you're doing, so you're not ruminating at night, going through that wheel of life, saying anything doomscroll.
Yeah, right? It's like, what am I going to do? I did the best I could, I'm out. And my insecurities or my ego's like, well, you could have done better. And you remember that well, yeah, I remember all that. And it wasn't a perfect day. They never are. But I did the best I possibly could. I'm going to bed. And you'll be surprised at how your mind will be like, yeah, that's true. That's it. Go to bed. Be done. Fight again tomorrow. It's this space that even though you fail and you make mistakes and you're working hard, but you also get that calm and that peace. And you know that really that's the best you can do. That's it. That's all you got. That's the best humans do. I gain positive relationships. People love being around this. They love being around that. It's vibrant. It's okay making mistakes. It's not trying to be perfect. It's not arrogant. It's just, it moves. It's a lot of fun. And last but not least, the litmus test of my proactive. I'm at peace. I'm at peace. Am I perfect? No. No. Am I pain-free? No. Do I sleep perfectly every night? Of course not. I don't. Do I snap once in a while or judge or, yeah, I do. But that's really all I've got. Like, that's the best I can do. And I learn, and I say I'm sorry a lot. There's an old sage that used to say you can solve most of life's problems by sitting back and being amazed and saying you're sorry. I love that Because if you look back, like just like tonight, we see that tree waving in the breeze, the sun's going down. I mean, there's so many things that are just intricately spectacular if we just pay a little bit of attention. Just be amazed. And then when it's your time, say you're sorry. And just recognize when you've stepped into a space that you just shouldn't be in. And then you move on. What if somebody doesn't accept your apologies? You move on anyway. You gotta go. You did what you can, you move, right? And you maintain that space. So this has been way trickier for me, and I'll tell you why. I got a lot out of this identity. And I got help with therapists helping me keep here, or help keep me stay here too. Oh, Darren, you poor thing. You were molested? Yes, I was. And your wife left? Uh-huh, she did. And you've been in bed? Yeah, it's horrible. Oh my gosh, you poor thing. I'm like, I know. Let's try different medicine. Yeah, let's try two. Oh yeah, for sure. I can't sleep though. Let's try Klonopin. Yeah, that's better, But I got this almost this encouragement to stay in this side. No one ever said, hey, listen, like if you want a wonderful life, you got to create this, man. That was rare. I didn't get that advice very often.
I also think you mentioned it earlier, and it's just so true. And I always tell my buddies that want to stop like being an addict or something, or maybe stop being an alcoholic, or they're like, oh, I'm gonna not drink hard liquor or do a drug, but I'm gonna drink beer. And so you do that bargaining, right?
Yeah.
And if you're doing bargaining, you never really leave that victim stage. You have to really, like right now, I'm exhausted. I'm too old for this stuff, the way I've been living. And it's just like, you truly have to be like, there's no bargaining. There's no like middle ground. And if you do that, you get stuck in that victim. You might come a little bit on the proactive side, but like, it's really hard to be in both sides, like on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And you try, so for me, I would try to jump back and forth. So I would try to keep one foot, but I'm a really good person. And then, but help, right? But don't judge me, I'm a really good person. But I got a lot out of being an enigma. That's one of the most addictive personality types. When you feel like you're special, especially afflicted, or especially depressed, or you have reasons for your anxiety or your depression or your sleeplessness that are unique, I'll speak for myself. I rode that. I rode that stuff. And I'm like, well, if I'm not the most handsome or the most athletic and I don't have a lot of money or whatever, I at least can be special because of how difficult I am to get better. How difficult it is for me to be happy, how tricky it is for me to go to sleep, how hard it is for me to get over my pain. That sounds odd to you guys, but I'm telling you, like it's a very addictive cycle to say, this makes me special. And the reason it was hard to get out of, well, why is that hard to get out of? Because if I get out of that, what do I lose?
It's scary.
I lose the specialness. I'm no longer special, right? It's like, you mean I just have to go get a job, work in fast food, or yeah, you do. That's not very special, Well, but you got to move. So moving out of that space and having the courage to be normal will start this process, but you've first got to move out of that place where you've believed and have kind of treated yourself and let others treat you like your specialness comes from being broken, rather than your specialness comes from being capable. Your specialness comes from your severe depression or your trauma, or the things that have happened to you, or the difficulty that's come in your life. It's extremely addictive psychologically.
It's almost pointless to like go to a rehab or facility like this for treatment if you feel that if you're not willing to like let go of that and kind of embrace that other bucket, because you're just going back to your comfort zone because it did serve you to some degree because you get attention.
I know.
It's hard to pull away.
It's hard.
It
is.
That is like exciting.
Yeah. Agreed. And again, that you hit it right on the head. So the identity switch and the identity shift. No one told me that I was living one possibility of my identities. I was living one of a trillion possibilities of an identity. I thought just the way I felt was just me. And I defended that. Well, I'm just not a morning person. Sorry, I'm not as like handsome as you are. Oh, pardon me, I'm not really good at college. Like I just really pushed myself backwards, and I had created an identity that wasn't any of those things, but it was very special because it was not recovering like other normal people could either. Does that make sense? But finally, I mean, talking to some very, very bright people as I recovered, like, well, you're just living one possibility of an identity. You can be better at mornings. You can have great relationships. You can be a man that women would want. You can make a lot of money. Like, you can be a lot more vibrant. You can be happy. You can take things to different levels. You can bring peace and light into a room if you want to. I'm like, well, how do I do that? That's not me. But again, the most malleable part of you is your identity, and you can shift that. And I know we've only been together for a week, and that's why we've got 3 weeks, right? There's a lot of this heavy lifting that's going to be coming, but it's important that you start getting geared up to believing and moving into that space where you start getting rid of those pieces that have been hurting you, that have been keeping you away from your potentials. I mean, it's important that you start thinking about what that might look like to be different than you've been really at any time in your lives. It's just, and then I have to put a plug in for my biochemistry. The biochemical changes that those new thoughts generate are so healing and so confidence boosting and so good for your digestion and your skin and your posture and your sleep. Like, that's what's fun, is you get to actually live a new biochemical identity too that's much more healing and positive. And your brain waves change. I mean, your cell structure changes. It's really pretty spectacular. So I promised I won't keep you late tonight, but this shift was hard for me. It's been easier for some of you guys already. But thoughts, questions, comments on making that? I mean, you'll never get out of being somewhat victimized, neither will I, but how do we move that bulk difficulty from the victim side over into this proactive piece? What do we do? What's that? Yeah, take it out, right? Quit defending it, quit talking about it, quit spending your whole life like trying to make sure that it's not stimulated or that nobody bumps it, right? Like, take it out, love it.
You also have to be brutally honest with yourself. Like, at the beginning of this, I think it was you who had a book about being honest with Brad, and it's, be honest with your therapist or the people here.
Yeah.
Like, be brutally honest with yourself, and it might suck to be like, dude, and I'll say it out loud, I've been playing the victim card for the last 18 months.
Right.
And it took coming here for me to see that. And yeah, it kind of sucks, but it was a short period of time in the grand scheme of things, but I've been brutally honest with myself and why I am the way I am. And it's not because I was I could have beat up as a kid or whatever. It's because I let that experience, kind of limit me with emotional attachments. And that choice was mine at the end of the day.
Oh, it's so hard to admit. Honesty is so hard. And yet, and I'll leave you with this, I'll obviously always put in a big mind-body plug. We've known for 100 years forensically that your body, your meat suit, is a lie detector. Your body will tell when you're lying. It's that concerned with the truth. I mean, there's a new deception kiosk that my cousin Doug Derrick had worked on in his university, and they've got it down to this amazing science. You go in, you grab these handles, push these buttons, it shines CO2 detectors, and it checks your galvanic skin response, your temperatures, your heart rate, your breathing, all of that, and it asks you questions while it's monitoring you. And your body is so dang honest that if you're deceptive or you're lying to yourself, your body's like, Darren's not telling the truth. He says he loves his mom, he really didn't, or whatever. But it's really fun they're training some really high level people, officials, with this deception training to make sure that they know how to be completely honest, because they're so much more effective when they are. Anyway, kind of fun. I won't keep droning on. Thanks, you guys, for everything. Thanks for having a great Sunday. You guys look exhausted. What time is it? Am I getting